I guess as kind of another starting point, I just wanted to thank you for like being so engaged with what I'm doing and helping so much, to kind of keep the community kindled and offering all your insights and state stuff, which, you're the more proficient like state person. I just kind of teach integral theory. So that's really awesome and I appreciate it.
This is a selfish thing for me. This is just something that I like to do on the side. I'm
Well,
just
that's wonderful. It's kind of a
glad.
win-win, right? And
Yeah, no,
you're
and
getting more advanced in the kind of way you
yeah,
talk about this to the point where it gets hard to keep up with. I need you to slow. I'm like, wait, so that
yeah,
word means something really specific. Like you said this, and I'm trying to, because my brain works a little slower.
right.
like,
No,
and
no,
when I
and
do that, it really
yeah,
helps. It really helps to get, because you really are like when you chain these concepts together, you really are saying some pretty heavy shit that is
yeah, I
easy to
know.
miss for most people.
Yeah, and no, can you believe when it still gets subdivided into 2 plus 2 or 3 plus 1, it still works? Can you believe that? Can you believe that's the art? That's the tricky part. That it's easy for me to just say because this is an interesting thing. Okay, so story. If I'm gonna say story is the power, or like whatever, like this analogy is whatever. Am I talking to 4 audience members? What everyone needs to get their turn, so to speak, or at least everyone needs to be engaged, and for everyone to be engaged they either need to take a turn or give a non-answer and substitute of their turn, or I can like try to grab their attention respectfully, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise they're just going to be doing some false idolship because they saw something cool that they weren't attached to. It's something
So,
separate than them instead of someone bringing something out of them. It's, oh my god, it's such a hassle,
so
which is fun.
you wanna teach them like, okay, here's what two is. Does everyone get that? Now here's what a plus sign
Yeah.
does. Here's how the plus works.
I
And then
could do
before you
that.
get
I
to
could do
equals,
that.
you let them
Yeah.
figure out the equals. Because if you already are
Yeah.
at three, if you're already past the equal
Yeah.
sign, then there's really no reason to tell the story.
Hmm. Right, but if I'm already talking to someone that's already proficient in four, understands four, I'm not going to slow down for the newbies. Like they can figure it out
Yeah.
as they go. It does work
Sure, you
out.
got to pick your endpoint. Yeah, you got.
Yeah. That's I'm telling you, it's a selfish system. I made it at the same time. Half a god of automate, at least.
It's
At
all
least.
about saving time with this stuff. It really is. It's all about like efficient communication, articulation of concepts that are kind of heady,
Yeah.
and you
Hey,
don't
but
want to explain the history of philosophy every time.
right. And so it's like in a group setting, it's like imagine if you have to pass the mic to your left each
Yeah.
time. And so it's fine if people don't talk and they're just passing the mic, but it is more mic passes. It just
Yeah.
is more mic. But when you're 1v1, or not 1v1, sorry, but one on one,
1v1. Yeah.
yeah, when you're one on one, you can pass the mic back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I mean, it's a different type of story. And
PvP.
when you change the pace of the back and forth, it changes the tempo of the story. I bet there's a lot of math and music that I just haven't gotten into yet.
Oh boy. Yeah, you
No,
bet.
and that's what I'm saying. And that's so when you ask who I am, I have different answers. I have well, I would say there's kind of like one of those bodily affinities, right? It's like your archetype. It's sometimes the I'm going to switch gears a tiny bit. There's that word ironic and unironic, but
Well,
like
it
it,
seems to have two pretty specific meanings. One being green meme irony, and the other being enlightened irony.
well, because
Right?
irony is one of those N+1 punchlines, right? It's like, oh yeah, if you say you're crazy, ironically, you're fucking crazy, unironically. You know what I mean? And so you get to do this thing forever,
Yeah, otherwise,
forever,
why would you say
forever.
that?
Right,
Yeah.
forever. And it's funny that clear light comes right above that, right? It's sort of like, okay, call truce, unity. You know what I mean? Like
Call it
we can
truce.
do this, we can call it whatever. But you call it first, and you're trying to like make God call it first for some ego reason. It's like,
The form is
calm down.
form can be ironic or unironic, and formlessness can be ironic or unironic, or is it fairly unironic?
Well, that's one of those jokes in the movie that like someone asked that to God, and he said, "I don't know."
Yeah, I don't know.
You tell me. You let me know when you have an answer first, and I said,
And
"I'll tell you if it's right."
I wanted to mention too that just in the few times that I've talked to you, there's this weird, what legitimizes and validates you for me is I genuinely start to get in sort of more of an overhead state, or more, I feel it like genuinely to become, the ground upon which this is all happening just through communicating with you. It's very strange. And I've noticed it right from the start. Mostly just
Yeah.
in person PvP.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's I have no comment on that necessarily. For me, that I just enjoy that as byproduct.
Yeah, because you're like in the water all the time,
Yeah,
and
and
you
it
don't
validates
notice you're
me.
splashing
It low key
everyone.
does validate me. It low key does
Yeah.
because no, because this is the thing. This is the thing. What Evan or me, I don't know. The voice that's predominantly talking is. I don't want to put it in two or three. I'm just debating. It can be two, three, or infinity, right? That's what it kind of. A lot of abstract punchlines turn to it's one, two, three, or infinity.
So
Because
you're
I
talking kind of
really,
dualism and trinity, and then the
yeah,
infinite.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly,
makes
and
sense.
oneness,
Okay,
and I had to add oneness in there, right? Because it's like, oh gosh, it turns to a one, two, three, or if you got to count more, we've got a system for
but
it.
not the
Yeah,
pentagram. We don't do fives. This
I
fives are
guess,
tough in
I guess,
music.
I
Da da da
guess.
da 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 da.
Is that
It's
what
like what
fives
the heck?
are? I didn't see. Like I said, I haven't gotten there yet.
I don't know
That's like
anything
no.
about fives. It's very mysterious.
There's like a yin and yang duality, and I would say that's my awareness, my unconscious awareness. I mean, it's just what I operate from. I mean, it's the God, it is source. It is like if God has a vision through my body, is He not seeing through my eyes, through my
And would
unconscious
that be
everything?
the zero of the
Yeah,
binary, kind of, or
I mean, I guess, right? I mean,
the
what, like,
yang?
it's like, how do we, if it's ever God, it's the axis we walk on. It's the reason we're talking about it. Like, if it ever goes to that, it's like, that's fast wise. If an answer ever gets hit with fast wise, just immediately avoid it or work around it and then see what the shadow casts after you're done with that whole tree of wise.
And then the other side, just like for the audience, that is the
Physical. The
incarnated
physical. Yeah,
personality story,
it's the physical. That's what I would say
physical.
is a great
And
time
to
for
you,
this.
physical also includes like the thinking mind.
Yeah. Gosh, if you're thinking something, it's already been filtered through words.
Oof, yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, like how telephoned is this expression? You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
How
really.
filtered, how
Yeah,
dusty, yeah.
exactly. When I
How
say telephone
motivated.
for audience at home, for the fans in the back, telephone is a game that you whisper in people's ears, and then it gets progressively less true. It becomes more parodied.
So
You
as a
know.
thing moves from the ground to through your emotional body, thinking,
Yeah,
language,
yeah. You interpret
social,
it one
motivated.
way. Yeah, you
Yeah.
interpret it one way. You verbalize it to yourself in a different way. I
Yeah.
mean, gosh, like I mean, there's hoops to jump through, right?
And all of
Uh,
this is sort of the art of what you call articulation.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Isn't that expression?